Now it's time for us to move and learn pipelines. So let's get started. Here we will learn about Azure DevOps pipelines and continuous integration and continuous delivery and some terminologies related to it. So let's get started. Let us understand about CI/CD. CI stands for continuous integration. It simply means merging of code from different branches into one single branch and making sure your code integration is happening smoothly and flawlessly. So different developers may have their own branch and they want to merge the code and see if the code base is all good. So continuous integration helps in that. Next is continuous delivery or deployment. So when your code is merged and it is ready, now you are going to build it. The pipeline is going to build it and it will create some artifact. A artifact is nothing but a zip or some sort of deliverable which can be deployed. Continuous delivery or deployment simply means creating that build or final copy of your code and deploying it to a server. Pipelines is a place where this CI/CD happens. So merging of code and creating the artifact and deploying it, all these things happens in pipelines. Here we are going to learn about Azure Pipelines. So let's see what is the official documentation of Microsoft has to say about Azure Pipelines. So it is a place where you can build, test and deploy with CI/CD, which works with any language. Any kind of language can be used. You can have repository based on Ruby, Python, anything, and any sort of platform and cloud. It could be different cloud as well. And you can connect GitHub or you can import GitHub repository in Azure Repos. You can use Azure pipelines to build, test and deploy your code with CI/CD. Let's see what Azure pipelines do or what are its function. It helps in execution of continuous integration. So continuous integration takes place in Azure pipelines. It helps in building your code or running the job when the code is submitted. So when you merge it or when you create a pull request, it helps to run a build or run a job which creates some artifact. Now that build is run using build agent. Build agent is nothing but a sort of worker process which helps to build the code. And then the final output is artifact. Artifact is nothing but it could be a zip file, jar file, exe file, or simply copy of all the code, the final copy of the code. This is not a final output but a deliverable which can be deployed to a server. So Azure pipelines also include continuous delivery, so you can deploy this deliverable like zip file, jar file to a server or some other place on different clouds. So let's see what kind of pipeline Azure have. So in general, it can be classified into build and release pipeline. As such, you won't find the build terminology in the Azure DevOps dashboard. It has been removed now. But the build pipeline or the build phase it can have your merging of code or development of code and some steps to perform the merge or running the test or running some steps to create the artifact. So your artifact will be created. Artifact could be a zip file, a jar file, or simply set of your files like HTML, CSS. So artifact will be the deliverable. So this is your build pipeline. Here you are integrating with GitHub or maybe using Azure Repos for your code hosting, and then performing some steps and then creating artifact. So this is your build pipeline. Once the artifact is ready, that artifact can be tested or deployed in a testing environment, then in a staging environment, and finally on production. This pipeline which performs these actions is called a release pipeline. By the time I'm recording this video, there is no terminology like build, but there is one called release. So let's see what is the current status in the Azure dashboard. We are going to create all these, but let's see where you can find these in Azure DevOps dashboard. So this is a screenshot from Azure DevOps dashboard. The very first one highlighted is pipelines. That is your build pipeline in general. And then next to it there is environment, and below that it is releases. That is your release pipeline. Build pipeline, or simply the pipeline, is where you are integrating with your repo and creating the artifact, and then in the release you will be actually deploying it to some server. It could be a staging, it could be a production one, but this is the difference. So we will see all these things in action in the coming videos. So far we have learned about Azure Repos, and we have also seen introduction of pipelines. Now we understand a bit about pipelines. Let us now start creating them. Go to Azure DevOps dashboard. Here on the dashboard we already have our GitHub repository imported. If not, please watch previous videos. On the left hand side you will see something called pipelines. Click on it, and here under pipelines you will have all the options related to pipelines. This is build pipeline, and then we have after environment releases is your release pipeline. So when you click on pipelines, first we are going to create build pipeline. So when you click on create pipelines, it will show you this page, and it will have a create pipeline button and certain option like creating a new folder or importing a pipeline or manage security. So you can choose any of these, but here for now we are going to create the pipeline from the beginning. Now it is going to ask you where is your code. So our code is in Azure Repos Git, but you have other options like GitHub, GitHub Enterprise, Bitbucket, etc. So this is ultimately going to create a YML file for us, and it is going to be created in our repository which we have integrated. So I'm going to select Azure Repos Git for now because our code resides in Azure Repos. After selecting it, it is going to ask which repository you want to work with or create the pipeline for. So from here you can filter it out with projects, or maybe just select all the projects. Here I'm choosing the project I have already imported. After that, you can configure your pipeline with certain template. It could be based on the type of project you have, like if it is a HTML project, select the first one, or you want a basic starter pipeline, select the second one. Then you have many options. If you click on show more, it will list down all those options for you. Those options could be of different languages or framework like .NET, C Sharp, Docker images, Gradle or Maven project, Node.js, and so on. Here I am going to select HTML one because my project is simply based on HTML and CSS, and you can see it has created Azure Pipelines.yml file for us, and it is under the GitHub repository, the Azure repository that we have imported. And the content of this file is in YML format, and it has an option called trigger. The value is master, so it's saying trigger this pipeline or job whenever there is a change in master branch. Then the next thing is pool. Here we are saying the job will run on a VM image and the image will be of Ubuntu. Then there could be certain steps and task inside the steps. There is one task that we are saying here is to archive the file, and input is from the root folder. So all files from the root folder will be taken and it will be archived to create the artifact. And we are saying include root folder as false, so it is going to take all the files, not the root folder itself. And then the last task is to publish the build artifact. This is a simple YML file which got created after selecting template, but you can create your own or you can modify it. You can add variables to it, and from that variable the value will get assigned here. So once you are done with this file, I'm going to leave it as it is, not changing it as of now. You can save and run it, or you can simply save it with the option. We are going to save and run it. Click on save and run. Now it is going to ask a commit message because this is a file Azure pipeline which is going to get committed in our repository, in Azure Repos repository. So it needs a commit message. It will be merged into our existing code. Provide some proper message, and you can either choose commit directly to master branch or create a different branch. So you can choose either of these options because we have already seen how to create a new branch and then add a commit and raise PR. But now here I am going to select only master branch, so commit is going to happen directly in the master branch. I have clicked and now it is creating the pipeline. As you can see, the job is queued now. It is running a job and it is queued, and it failed. it was expected, and I made it failed on purpose to show you how to get rid of this error. So just note down this error and we will get off this in the next video. So now we are in middle of creating a pipeline, but we are stuck with an error, and in this video we are going to see how to fix that error. So we got an error related to subscription. We didn't had a subscription to run a parallel job or simply run a job. We cannot run the job as of now because we don't have a subscription. In this video we are going to see how to set up the subscription and get the parallel jobs up and running. So let's jump to Azure dashboard. On the dashboard we face this error: no hosted parallelism has been purchased or granted. To request a free parallelism grant, please fill out the following. And if you go to the details of this job, click on the job, then you will see all the details in the console format. Here you will have all the logs. So it says this URL, you can follow this URL and you can fill up a form for the Azure DevOps parallelism request. Go to project settings. On the left hand side, scroll down and click on parallel jobs. Here you have certain options like private projects or public projects, Microsoft hosted or self-hosted under all these. Here as you can see, Microsoft hosted, we have 0 parallel jobs configured as of now, and same as that in private projects under Microsoft hosted one, and it has an option to change. Click on change and it will take you to billing page. You can also go directly on the billing page, but I just wanted to show you that there you can see like how many jobs we have, what all features we have. If you scroll down, you will see all the details regarding the test plan as well as this pipelines. So for pipelines, for Microsoft hosted, we have 0 paired parallel jobs. You need to set up the billing first in order to get this. Click on setup billing. Then click on new Azure subscription. We need to buy a subscription, we need to purchase a subscription. So click on this and it will take you to Azure dashboard. If you are already logged in, if not, it is going to ask you to sign in, or it is going to ask you to sign up in case if you don't have any account. Here, since I don't have any account, this is a sign up form and you need to fill in all the details. So please fill in all the details. I'm going to stop here and quickly fill up all these things. Once done, you need to verify your phone, so you can just enter it, enter your phone number and click on text me or call me and you will get a code. Once you receive the verification code, fill it in this text field and then click on verify code. After this, you will need to verify your payment information. Fill in the cardholder name, card number and rest of the details. I'm going to pause here and fill it really quick. So once payment is done, like it's gonna detect small amount, 1 or 2 rupees, and then once that is done, you can click on I agree and click on next. It is gonna create your account. So once the sign up is complete, you will be redirected to Azure DevOps dashboard. Go to Azure DevOps dashboard and refresh it. Now we have the billing, so just click on setup billing. The subscription is there and it's valid. You can select that particular subscription and click on save. It is going to save the billing part. So now it knows which subscription to use for billing. This is editable, like the parallel jobs that we wanted, it is now configurable and we can just put some value to it. So for now, just for the demo, I'm going to put it 1 because I want only one job to run. And then you can click on save. We have bought the subscription. Now we can go back to our project, go to pipelines. You can again run this pipeline. Click on run pipeline, simply click on run and it's gonna run the job again. It's in queue. As you can see, the job has started and it is running now. If you click on this, it will expand and it will show you all the details like the archive files, publish build artifact. So all those steps are here, and you can see the progress here. So this is the build release pipeline that we created just now to create artifact using our Azure Repos, the first part of the pipeline. You can click on view raw logs and it will show you all the logs in the raw format. Go to pipelines, and as you can see, this time it is a success and our job has run successfully. So we have created our first build pipeline. Now we are going to create release pipeline. In previous video we have seen how to create a build pipeline using Azure Repos. In this video, we are going to learn how to create GitHub pipeline. So we are going to integrate GitHub with Azure DevOps, and we are going to create a pipeline. So whenever a change will happen in GitHub repo, a build will be triggered in Azure DevOps. So let's see how it works. Go to Azure dashboard, go to pipelines, and this was our Azure repo pipeline that we created. It was triggered from our Azure repository. This is the Azure Pipelines.yml which got created after created the build pipeline for this repository. This is the content of that file. Now we are interested in creating a pipeline with GitHub. So click on new pipeline, and here instead of Azure repo we are going to select GitHub because our code resides, our repository resides in GitHub account. So I'm going to select GitHub here, and I'm going to select this repository under my GitHub account. It is the same repository. The previous one was imported to Azure and this one is the original one. I'm going to use it from here. Go to Marketplace and click on Explore Apps. Click on Azure Pipelines. So we are going to use this one, use this application from Marketplace, install it. So click on Setup Plan. You can click on Install it for free. So it's a free application by Azure, so you can simply complete order. Here it's gonna ask you some permission to install. You can either select a particular repository to install this application for, and then for the confirmation it is going to ask password. So provide the password and click on confirm. Select your Microsoft account, and then it is going to take you to Azure DevOps page, and here you need to select the organization and project to which you want to integrate it to, and then click on continue. Now this page is to authorize. Here you will authorize Azure Pipelines to access the GitHub repository, and it will take you to the pipelines page, and here the repository has been populated. Previously it was from Azure Repos, but as you can see now it is from the GitHub. It is under my username Ajit K and the repository name. I'm going to select this one. It is going to configure it. Previously we selected HTML template. This time we can select starter pipeline, or you can click on show more and select others. You can select HTML one as well. So let's go with it, and here it has created the same kind of Azure Pipelines.yml. We are simply going to save and run and put the commit message. Now it is creating the pipeline. Last time we got error for the first time, but this time since we already have the subscription, so we won't face any error. It will run the job. The job is in queue. So the same kind of actions and steps will happen here as well because we have selected the same kind of template. It's just that we are using GitHub repository instead of Azure Repos repository. Click on pipelines, and as you can see the build has succeeded. If you click on it you will see all the stages, and you can see my profile picture which is on GitHub. So this is corresponding to the GitHub repository build. And if you go to my GitHub account, and here in the code repository, if you explore the files, you see a commit message setup CI with Azure Pipelines, and you will see Azure Pipelines.yml file as well. So the commit has happened here. It has happened directly into the master branch. So this is how you can create GitHub pipelines on Azure